stars who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello and welcome. I'm Fenner Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder. And, you know, welcome to the Wow Report. We are doing we're doing what we normally do, which is counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow. Very special guest today, Brian Belovitch. Brian, we go back many years. You know James St. James, of course.
Yes, of course.
Our literary sensation, permanent guest, and Tom Campbell, who you just met.
Well, we're friends on Facebook, but this is our first IRL meeting. It's very exciting for me.
In real life?
Yes.
In real life?
Yes.
And so I guess without further ado, let's just jump in at number 10.
Number 10.
It's you, baby.
Oh, my goodness. Number 10.
Because you've written this most incredible memoir.
Transfigured is my journey from boy to girl to woman to man. Yes. And I think maybe you should, it's a very intriguing tagline, and maybe you can just sort of tell us what that journey entails and just in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Break it down for us.
Oh my God. In a nutshell. Let's see. That's going to take about at least 10 hours.
It's a big nut.
Well, I spent half my life living as a transgender woman in the 70s and into the 80s. And, you know, prior to that, I was a little, you know, gender non-conforming gay boy. And then I started dressing in drag and started transitioning to a female identity. And then all kinds of hilarity ensued.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. And I ended up getting married to a serviceman in 1980. Only 11 years after Stonewall, actually.
Wow.
You know, which is kind of amazing when I thought about
I was
that.
rereading that section in the book today about how you had a driver's license that said you were a female, and at the time there was no, of course, LGBTQ marriage or anything of the sort.
No.
So you sort of pulled the wool over the government's eye as you got married, and then moved to Germany to become a military wife.
Yes, I did do that. I did pull the wool over their eyes.
Well, it was a much more dangerous time in terms of recognition, but at the same time, was it easier in some ways? You just want to do this, you can do this. You can
sort of fly under the radar.
It was easier because it wasn't such a big, you know, it wasn't so common. So in a way, it was easier.
Because nobody was really looking for anything like that.
No, I mean, and I was so young, and luckily I had what the kids now call passing privilege. So 9 times out of 10, they never knew that I was not the gender I was presenting as. So, you know, I got when I changed my name in court, they handed me my ID back, and it was, you know, said female on the box. I was like, wow, okay, that's one less thing I have to worry about. So, you know, I just took that and ran with it. And
so you're a military bride.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? What happened?
Oh my God! I'm reading the chapter. Actually, I've read the chapter. I'm going to do a reading of that chapter, actually. But what happened was we were together much longer after that. Maybe we were together, I think, about 5 years total.
This was the doorman that you met, was it? He was
I met him in a little gay bar in Providence, Rhode Island.
And he was sort of a handsome,
he was a hunky, very handsome, gorgeous.
But he had some anger issues.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit of anger issues.
You know, the book starts with the account of Freddie, who was a mobster, taking you for a big high-rolling night in Atlantic City at Trump's, I guess, the Taj Mahal,
Trump Plaza.
Trump Plaza. And in the book, it's like I mean, this is a bit of a spoiler alert, but he breaks down and says, I've messed up big time. This is the last time I'm going to see you.
There's a hit on him.
Right. And you, like, get me the fuck out of here. Completely understand.
Give me the drugs and the money and I'm gone.
Give me the drugs and the jewelry and call me a car and I'll see you later. It's nice knowing you. But
And
my response wasn't the most gracious.
There's a lot of, it's a very gritty memoir. It's no holds barred. There's a lot that goes on in there. There's we've talked about this before with a lot of the drug use and the drug abuse that I didn't realize was going on. In the 70s, there was some heroin addiction. In the 80s, there was a crack addiction, and it's all told with a very clear eye. And there's some funny things that are happening. It's laugh out loud funny, but it's also like you end up feeling very like it's shocking the life that you've lived.
Well, people have asked me, how was I able to, take those things that were so painful and difficult and sort of try to make them a little bit lighthearted, because it is a very tough story. I mean, on many, many levels. I mean, there's, any issue is there for, to be explored.
But I do know that, from my own life and from my own things, that very often when you're in the middle of these situations, all you can do is laugh. It's either you laugh or you just cry and you never stop crying.
Yeah, and I've always had a great sense of humor, and I never really ever took myself that seriously. I still don't. I mean, I really think that's sort of the key to sanity, is just not to take anything really. I mean, take things seriously that you need to, accomplish what you need to do and show up for appointments and, live your life. But, it's good to have a sense of humor, I think.
So we're talking to Brian Belovitch. His book is Transfigured, My Journey from Boy to Girl to Woman to Man. Blake is giving us the 1 minute call, the wrap-up call, and there's so much more to talk to you about. Well, so I guess we have to read the book. Yeah. Because there's a whole second part of this. There's a whole third act that we're living right now.
It's absolutely, it's a beautifully written book. And I immediately...
Thank you so much.
I have to confess here that having read the intro, I then skipped ahead to your life in Manhattan. When I first met you, I had no idea. I mean, talk about living multiple lives at once. It was just a fascinating,
I've told you too that you were the first trans person that I'd ever met, and I didn't know for about a year, I don't think. And so there's a lot of layers to the story, and there's a lot of good times that I remember in here that probably weren't so good at the time. But it all ends up being a life, doesn't it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that didn't make it into the book too.
Well, I wouldn't have known like James. I know but I wouldn't have known like James. But you were known as Tish, the girl with something extra, and I was like, what are they talking about?
Does she have ESP?
Sixth Sense.
But Brian, it's great to have you with us. Stick with us. We're gonna just canoodle about other things, but chime in.
Yes, please.
Yes.
So what have we got? Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9. What is my number 9?
Wow,
What's going on? What is number 9?
I'll tell you what your number 9 is.
Ding dong.
The doorbell liquor.
My goodness, have you heard this story? Does everyone know this story?
Yes.
Okay, there was a gentleman. Let me see if I can find it. A woman in Salinas, California, noticed on her security camera that there was a lot of movement going on the night before. And she went to go check the security cam footage, and she found that a guy had come up to her front door and started licking her doorbell, and was licking it for 3 hours.
It's all on tape.
It's all on tape.
How much of the 3 hours do you think you've watched?
Well, there was a 3-minute segment that I posted on the Wow Report, and after 3 minutes, you really get the idea of what's going on.
He's into it.
He's changing position. He's giving he's sort of making out with it.
I mean, it seems like an Andy Warhol film, doesn't it? Like 3 hours.
More action than an Andy Warhol film because he changes angles.
The woman said that she said you have to laugh about it because technically he didn't harm anybody. He didn't break anything. He did pee in the lawn, and then he stole some electrical cords. And his name is Roberto Danilo Arroyo.
Oh, we have his name.
I wasn't aware they had apprehended the gentleman.
They haven't apprehended him yet. They just know who he is. And I can't help but think that this has got to be some sort of meth thing. That's the only thing that it's got to be a kink, and then probably the meth exacerbated it or something. But very quickly, I have another story that I wanted to throw out there. This is a twofer.
James is naming him because he's hoping he's going to come around to his house and lick his doorbell.
Well, I did go out that night and I started licking some doorbells just to see what
is
it
there
was.
A charge? Is there an electrical?
I really got into it a little bit.
Okay.
The second story is there was a woman. Doctors had to remove a leech that had been living in this woman's throat for 3 months. They thought it was a tumor, and when they opened up her throat, they realized there was a 6-inch leech that was wiggling about in her throat. And they said that the woman, she was from Vietnam, and she'd probably gotten it from bathing in a pond or something. They don't know how.
Keep your mouth closed when you're bathing, I think.
Exactly. But they said that in Vietnam, she'd been complaining about severe headaches, frequent nasal congestion, and a constant sensation of mucus flowing down her throat. But the mucus was from the leech. It was the leech's mucus that kept going down her throat for 3 months. And I just wanted to tell
Blake is holding his mouth like he's going to throw up and say,
because he's coughing up a leech as we talk.
He has a little congested today. Blake almost didn't make it in.
But I do have that sensation down there.
You might want to check yourself.
Can you have a look?
And they were saying that if they didn't get it in time, it would have gone up into her nasal cavity and eventually started fucking with her brain.
Well, it's a whole new twist on postnasal drip.
Postnasal leeches.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the guy with the licking the doorknob, there's a term for that, and it kills me that I can't remember it. But there is a term for people that there are people that rub on cars,
oral fixation,
fraudage.
I had a boyfriend who just wanted to fraudage.
But that's more rubbing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's rubbing.
We weren't allowed to get naked. We just had to stay in our clothes and just rub.
Which at this age is not such a bad idea. I wish I could put clothes on.
Come find me again.
Number 9. Because really, you can't. I've seen the stills. You can't unsee them. It's pretty great.
He's sort of cute too. I wouldn't turn him away. Maybe at 4 a.m.
I just think he found something he's good at, and he did it. And he was licking those doorknobs, and God bless him.
Number 8.
Bros. Number 9, Bros. You remember Bros?
Yes.
1 second. It's number 8.
Oh wait, are they
all right? Number 8, Blake. It's number 8. 10, 8, 9. It goes here. Yeah.
Is Bros when will I be famous?
Yes,
is that song?
The quintessential 80s hit. Along with that and the Pet Shop Boys' Opportunities. It's one of those sort of a material girl. It was that sort of time of those hits about materialism.
But I don't think that people in America know Bros.
Bros. Okay, Bros were a boy band in the 80s, like 87, I believe.
I remember them.
And they had like 3 or 4 hits. And their gimmick was that they were twins.
Cute blonde twins.
Yes.
I'm in.
And they also did this thing of dropping trowel. They would, in their shows, they would drop their trowels
in
like
a Marky
Mark
way.
Mark,
yeah.
And they would have, Union Jack boxers on. And they literally went from nothing to humongous in 6 months. And it really was the case of overnight fame. And over Christmas, BBC broadcast a documentary, and it's all about what happens to these brothers in the aftermath of fame. In one respect, it's a really cruel, hard to watch film because it's not.
It didn't end well.
Oblivion is not kind.
No, it's not.
You're telling me.
But haven't they both gone on to have like acting careers?
Well, okay. One of them came out to LA and is an actor making films of sort of straight to video horror films. The other one, Matt Goss, went to Vegas and has had a residency in Vegas for many years. Darn it, I can't remember which casinos are.
They sound more successful than us.
And he's actually quite a good singer.
Well,
they're cute.
They're
super cute.
You're showing Bros pictures.
Yeah.
They are, yeah. And but the thing that makes this documentary so unbelievable are the crazy things they say.
Like what?
Mostly Matt, actually. Well, Matt says the letters HOME are so important because they personify the word home.
What?
So they're not wicked educated.
Luke says, the reason for the documentary is they're having a reunion, 25 plus years after their fame, and they're playing at the O2, which is the big arena in London. It's not going very well in the film. Will the cupcakes be done in time?
Right.
And Luke says, Rome wasn't built in a day, and fuck me, that's true, but we don't have the time that Rome had.
That's so profound.
That one's good.
That one's very profound.
Matt says the best story we had growing up was a dart. no dartboard, just a dart, because they grew up poor. And I mean, I'm really not doing justice to these things, but the height of humiliation. You know, they were stalked by the press, and Matt was photographed in his bathtub, and he said that's terribly embarrassing to be photographed in your bathtub. And there's a pause, and he says, thankfully, there were bubbles.
I used to work for a British photo agency, so I remember them in the 80s.
That's right.
I remember
in Wet, remember?
Yes.
So how long was their window
and there
of fame?
was one hit song, right?
I mean,
that was
one
hit wonder.
And they were actually hated. I mean, they were like, because they were too famous too quickly, they were almost instantly hated. And you know, actually, having made fun of them here just by repeating these quotes, underneath it is this terrible story of two brothers, one of whom is really quite talented, the other whom less so.
Which is the talented one? One in Vegas?
Yes.
Okay.
Matt, the singer. And he could really sing, and the brother played drums, and there just wasn't, he was forever in the shadow of the brother. And he says, you know, it's a heartbreaking film, because he says at one point, you know, it was soul destroying every day. I mean, imagine your twin brother is out in front, you're behind the drums, and you're just getting all this hate press. I mean, even though your dreams have come true and you're these massive pop stars,
you feel like a fraud.
It tore them apart. It tore them apart.
Karen's brother.
Well, and the lead brother, Matt, says, you know, my life feels like a never-ending apology. And they sort of, it's just completely destroyed them.
Do they get along now?
No. Well, I mean, that's what's so...
If the unhappy twin would have watched the Bette Davis movie Dead Ringer, he would have killed the more popular sister and then posed as said sister.
Or a stolen life.
There you go. Thank you.
Well, it's playing on the BBC iPlayer, and I really recommend you can the BBC iPlayer is geo-blocked, but if you get something called VPN Express, you can watch the BBC iPlayer.
Are you telling people how to watch Drag Race in different VPN areas?
Take that bit. Cut that out. We're going to wrap up. I'm going to take a break. Okay, hey, Blake, you got a trivia question. Can you read the question?
We
don't have a mic.
We only have 4 mics here tonight.
Want to come up here real quick?
What legendary celeb's blonde hair is actually a wig?
What?
Yeah. What legendary celebrity's blonde hair is actually a wig? This person is allergic to bleach. I guess we're asking that question because Bros were blonde, but it wasn't a wig in either. And now they don't. Well, one of them has hair, one of them doesn't. Anyway, you're listening to Wow Report on Radio Andy, SiriusXM. We'll have the answer right after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. We're counting down top 10 things that made us go, wow.
Wow.
Tom Campbell, James St. James, and our special guest, Brian Belovitch,
who is here promoting his books Transfigured, My Journey from Boy to Girl to Woman to Man. Just a little plug while we're...
Which is out now, right? You're on a nationwide book tour.
Yes, nationwide, 50 cities.
Are you loving it?
I haven't slept a wink.
No, are you really? How many cities are you doing?
2.
Oh. I was going to say...
exhausted hearing your schedule.
We had a trivia question.
We had a trivia question because we're talking about Bros, the gorgeous blonde twins of British pop stardom. Anyway... The question was, what legendary celebrity's blonde hair is actually a wig? This person is allergic to bleach.
Well, I'm going to have to say it's probably Dolly Parton, but
I
have a feeling it's someone else that we're going to be talking about in a little minute.
I think it's Debbie Harry.
Oh. No!
It's a good one, though. Blonde. She's being good. I think it's Mae West.
Oh.
Carol Channing.
Well, shall we just do Carol Channing right now?
Let's move on to
number 7.
Number 7.
Woke up to some bad news this week. And it shouldn't come as a surprise, and yet I can't believe we live in a world where Carol Channing is not here with us. She was born in 1912.
Wow.
You guys have probably been reading and thinking,
that makes you go, wow.
She originated, we all know diamonds are a girl's best friend. Marilyn Monroe in the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blonde. Lorelei, I think, is the name of it. She originated that role on Broadway. But she's probably best known. We've just, right now, Betty Buckley is touring the country in Hello, Dolly. And Bette Midler brought it back, and it was a huge thing on Broadway. it is and was and will always be, with all due respect to those wonderful women, Carol Channing's role. She invented the role of Hello Dolly, and she played it.
5,000 performances I read and never missed one of them.
No, and my friends, Art and Charlie, God rest their soul, and they worked in TV on Love Boat and The Dinosaur, and they knew all these people, and they were loving. They said that Carol Channing cared more about show business than real people. That if someone died in front of them, they would be like, and her husband, who supposedly was gay, and I think they parted toward the end of his life.
Wait, weren't they married for like 40 years or something?
Yes.
Or no, and they didn't have sex for 41 years?
Yes.
Yes, and she did not have sex for 41 years.
I think she's married to a gay guy. And my friends Art and Charlie would say lovingly with it that if someone died in front of them, if they weren't in show business, the person died, they would just step right over them and keep going. There was a time that they were just obsessed with show business and getting ahead and being on. It was all business all the time.
Sure.
Do you remember there was a few years back, probably 10, where she was going to perform at the Hollywood Bowl, and she created a publicity stunt that her dress had been stolen.
Oh, I remember, yes.
Where's Carol Channing's dress?
The diamond
dress. But at 87, she's making headlines around the globe. Carol can't go on. Not tonight. Where would she find a dress in Hollywood? But her spirit and her joy. I'll shut up because you guys all have memories, I'm sure. Oh, no, I'm getting the time. But I got to say, when I saw Bette Midler in Hello, Dolly, which was perfection, all I could think about, because the first time I saw a production of Hello, Dolly, is this play would be so much, it was so perfectly suited to Carol Channing.
Yes.
Because she's schmaltzy and warm and...
a lot of people have done, Ethel Merman did it, Pearl Bailey did it. I mean, a lot of people did it on Broadway, but nobody will ever be, Dolly Levi like her, or Lorelei Lee. I mean, she was just fantastic. And you think, my favorite, of course, is Thoroughly Modern Millie. Raspberries.
What a great body. And with that kind of...
which she was nominated for an Oscar for.
Yes. The Katya and Trixie do the Carol Channing hairdo very well.
And you can't do without speaking to Pandora Box from RuPaul's Drag Race,
right?
Who never won, but should have won for her Carol Channing impersonation on RuPaul's Drag Race. And she was done another time by Bob the drag queen, who's African American, and she actually did a little videotape for us 2 years ago that we presented to Bob on the grand finale of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, nice.
It's impossible to talk about her career and her influence in this short time, but
so 1912, that would make her 106, right?
No, she was 96.
She would have been 98. I think.
Oh, 99,
97.
Something.
You're listening to the Wow Report, where we do math out loud. It's the best kind of radio, just to add bad numbers. I love her. And the only other thing, if you're of another generation, you'll remember there was an epic Love Boat where all the mothers of the cast came, and I'm going to Google it. It was Pearl Bailey, Carol Channing, Ethel Merman,
Ann Miller,
and they were all like the regular cast mothers coming on to do a show, which I recently posted as a leak for All Stars 14, and I tagged Ethel Merman as Trixie, and Miller as Bianca, and Pandora Box as Carol Channing, and Shangela as Pearl Bailey, which as well they should be. Anyway, rest in perfection, Carol Channing.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
James.
Where do we go from there? I know.
Number 6.
I have mentioned many times before on the show that I go to, there's a comic book store sort of in my neighborhood, and there's a really cute boy who works there, and so I stop in all the time to get the news from the geeks, from the nerds of the world, and he always keeps me abreast of all the new comic books that are coming out. And I went in this week, and he said, "You've got to see this. You aren't going to believe this. It's a comic book called The Barack Panther versus the Tremendous Trump."
Oh,
okay,
look at that!
And it's,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's Wakanda and Mar-a-Lago presents is what they say, and it's a choose your own adventure because there are two versions, and in one of them is the Red Triumph where the Tremendous Trump wins, and the other is the one where the Barack Panther wins. And they really
hedged their bets there, didn't they?
Well, the idea is to see who buys the most, which one gets the most, And so they have at one point, I'll just show you very quickly. Melania and Barron and President Trump are coming out of a plane, and she gives him a Cheeto, and that's what makes him turn into this giant orange.
It's like a radioactive Cheeto.
A radioactive Cheeto. And then he starts battling. There's a wall, and there's a bunch of illegal aliens, immigrants that are coming for the wall, and they get into a fight over it. And at the very end, they have drones that are shooting each other. It's this huge battle, blah blah blah. But at the very end, I have the red Triumph here, and the illegal alien woman is told. I don't know how to explain this. She's goes through the proper channels to become a legal citizen, and he says that is what makes America great again. I know, but in the other
Why
one,
did you buy the red Triumph?
well, because I figure I have both of them, but the red Triumph was the one that's more ridiculous, and they go through more hoops to try and justify.
Can you return it so your vote goes away for him, and we can support Mr.
I just thought it was.
I think this is going to be a collector's edition.
Oh, I do too.
I have
and
to
it's
get one.
It's
we should have our gloves on right now so we can look at it.
It's just a crazy sign of the times that like this is something that's just in the comic book stores, and it's sort of propaganda feeding to the children of which one you'll let your child read. I don't know.
James never ceases to amaze me that he can watch every show on Netflix, every Dark Shadows ever made, General Hospital on a daily basis, hang out with like hipsters at the kids at a thing, and find the story about the leech down the throat. I don't know. I don't know.
I am all over the map, baby.
I want to follow you for a day and just see what
incredible range
cage that you are crawling into.
Number 5.
Well, this next one at number 5 is basically a free-for-all because I finally went to see the Andy Warhol show at the Whitney.
I saw it when I was there.
You did, and you didn't. This is one of those things where I guess we talk about Warhol all the time, which sort of proves that he never really went away.
Yep.
Because we thought we'd already talked about this exhibition, but we hadn't.
No.
So
have you seen it? Have you gone?
I have not yet.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Are you a Warhol fan?
Yeah.
You knew
Somewhat.
Warhol.
I
You
knew
have a
Andy.
Warhol story.
Yes, I knew Andy.
Well, hello.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yes.
the Warhol story.
Well, he was very afraid of me. He was really terrified, after the whole assassination attempt.
He thought that you would.
He thought that I was like, gonna shoot him or something. I don't know.
You didn't attempt, but someone else did.
Valerie Solanas shot him like at close range.
Yeah.
And, he's got, if you've seen those famous photos of him with all the scars.
The evidence picture with the scar.
Yeah, so he was very squeamish around anyone trans or anyone.
I think that was around the time
that.
that he sort of went into high society, and he began to forsake the downtown scene.
Yes, and whenever he would see me, he would be like, "Oh, hi, Tish," and he'd like scurry away, and
you just go bang bang just next to them with your finger, bang bang.
See you later. You knew him, Jay.
Yeah, you did too.
Yeah,
we were at plenty of parties.
Was
with
he frightened
him.
of you? He should have been.
Well, he was. Yeah, well, because I would just run up to him and I'd be like, "Hi, Andy! Oh my God, you like my outfit? Take my picture!" Blah, 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 and then I'd run away, and I think I was more scared of him than he was of me. But so tell us a little bit about the show.
Well, it's a fascinating show. It's they're saying exit through the gift shop sort of thing. Well, the way the Whitney's set up, you kind of enter through the gift shop, which is sort of feels right for a Warhol show.
Right.
And I completely accidentally went through the whole exhibition backwards the entire way. And it's got the greatest hits. It's got the Coke bottles. And I can never put my finger on why seeing soup cans, Campbell's soup cans, Tom.
Yes, I know.
His last name is Campbell.
Yes.
I can never explain why it makes me feel so calm. But I just love looking at his
I agree with
pictures.
you.
I just feel calm. But it's also got other stuff like The Last Supper, which was one of my favorites. He did with the last actual set. He did a reproduction or a take on Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, and it's like 45 feet long and
with camo.
I've seen that
camo and just white on white.
Yeah.
It's like it's absolutely stunning. And the
piss
thing
paintings.
I love the piss paintings.
Mm-hmm.
They're like because they're
gorgeous,
in a Warhol world where everything is reproduced ad nauseam, ad infinitum.
These are paintings made with piss.
Yes.
Just
They're
making
unique.
sure people
That he had-
driving understand what we're talking about.
He would bring
paintings.
He would bring
For those of
hot
you-
guys around, and they would pee on the painting.
Well, he would put down
And
a
he
sort
would
of
say,
copper.
"Let me hold it," and point it in the right direction.
I remember the DuPont twins. They did a
I
lot
didn't
of
know
them.
that.
Remember
Really?
the fake DuPonts?
Well, that is to me that's an interesting thing. Is that post Warhol, all the people who are doing Warhol, like there's an artist Charles Lutz who reproduced a whole set of Warhols and then sent them off to the Warhol Foundation for authentication, and they were rejected. And he's selling them as rejected Warhols. You know, it's like, and I suppose that's the thing.
Andy would have loved it.
Andy would have loved it. And I suppose that's the thing. Like in the gift shop, it almost felt like we've reached a point of not too predictable, but just everything's a little bit too clever, and you can get soup cans dipped in papier-mâché paint. Just part of me wondered if it was like it's been a similar. I know,
but you love Jeff Koons and Damien Hirst and all those people. You Banksy, you're a big fan.
A few years ago, there was that Warhol Plus. There was the idea of 50 artists or whatever that had been influenced by Warhol. Yeah. So it was Warhol's work plus other artists that had been influenced by him. And I found that really satisfying because I was able to take in Andy's work and see it in context and see his influence. This one, and maybe I was just a little high on coffee that day, but it was like. It was so there was so much. It was absolutely comprehensive, but there was no. I don't know. It was just a lot.
We about to say there was no narrative or there was no through line to it. It just felt like he did such a broad diversity of work, and you get that sense. But it was like nothing really seemed to hang together.
Did you see the Cornelia Guest?
I did not see the.
Did you see the Carolina Herrera?
The portraits room was great. They had a whole room of the portraits, and they
Marsha P. Johnson.
Because you know his original intention in doing those portraits, he did them all the same size. With the intention that one day they would all be put in one place as a sort of bestiary or as a sort of portrait of society. And fuck me, they're in a room and they look
they must look amazing.
It was one of the great. It was a great moment.
And there was, anticipating Trump ordering fast food in the White House. There is that film of Andy eating a hamburger, which I enjoyed.
The Japanese commercial, right?
Yes, he's just sitting in real time.
Serge Luton, or what is his name?
A hamburger with ketchup.
Serge Luton, the director, the photographer. Yeah. He did the commercials. Okay, anyway.
Do you want to add some numbers now?
I'm terribly sorry. Keep it moving. I'm sorry.
The exhibit Andy Warhol from A to B and back again is showing at the Whitney Museum, and then it goes on tour. It's at Whitney until the end of March, and then it goes to San Francisco and then to Chicago.
Does it come to LA?
It does not.
Oh.
Okay, we got to take a quick break. What is the most expensive painting to be sold of Andy Warhol's ever? You're listening to Wow Report on Radio Andy. We'll be right back after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. We're here with Brian Belovitch, who is celebrating a publication of Transfigured, his amazing memoir. And James St. James, literary sensation in his own right, and editor of the Wow Report. And Tom Campbell, our creative director.
I've got nothing to plug.
Continual inspiration.
Actually, I have a whole thing to plug in a minute.
So we were talking just before the break about Andy Warhol. So inevitably, the question was, Andy Warhol, what is his most expensive painting sold ever?
Can we group think for a second? I'm thinking it's one of the celebrity portraits. Are you going that direction or no?
I was going in that direction. Why am I not? I'm not.
I'm just. I only have one side. Yeah. And then, I'm thinking, would it be Marilyn or Jacqueline Kennedy
or the Elvis?
I think it's one of those.
You do? I think it might be the Marilyn.
I think it's Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh,
I like
the
that
Elizabeth.
too.
There you go. Okay.
And but how much? So I think it's
I'm going to go with a Pepsi can. Maybe I'm going to say something. It's like,
all right.
No, Campbell's soup, definitely.
It's actually the silver car crash.
The car crash.
Yeah, it's 8 by 13 feet.
It's huge.
And it sold for $105.4 million in 2013.
And it's no one famous. It's just he was from the newspaper?
Yeah, it was from the New York Post.
Yes.
Those pictures are fantastic. The Death and Disaster series.
The electric chair, all of those.
A gruesome car crash.
Absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
10-9
Well, thank God we cleared that up.
A lot of tension over the break.
We're counting down the top 10 things that made us go, wow. We've reached number 4, Tom.
Number 4.
I'm here as a public service to get everyone within the sound of my voice outside of that kind of seasonal mood depression.
January?
I just came from New York and it's cold and it's gray. And you know what my mom...
Wait, and if you look outside right now here in Los Angeles,
LA,
it is cold and it's gray.
And I have found the perfect anecdote, and it's Backyard Envy, a new series on Bravo. Thursdays at 10. It premiered last night. It's a World of Wonder production.
No.
But I have to tell you, we produce a lot of TV and I love all of it. This is a fresh, wonderful show. It's about 3 people, friends and coworkers, James, Garrett, and Mel. James is this big, handsome, bear with a beard that I just fall in love with.
Yes.
Garrett is like, if you were to rank the hot guys on Instagram, Garrett would be number 1. Like, he's just beautiful.
He's a thirst trap.
He's beautiful from the front. I also enjoy him from the rear, if you will. And Mel, who's their straight friend, has a young baby, is the most understated classic beauty. She doesn't try. She just has bones and legs and skin, and they work together.
Bones and legs and skin.
No, but like legs for days. Like
and
legs, what's on the menu?
And almost against type, she's the one who's organizing all, because the others are sort of like spinning around. You know,
they're called the Manscapers, and it's New York in the summer. And they go to Brooklyn in this episode that aired last night, and there's a whole series of them every Thursday at 10 after $1 Million Listing LA, which is the best season ever. And their relationship is warm. It's I don't watch HGTV series. They're a little cut and paste for me. They're a little red state for me. This is like blue state, people you'd want to hang out with. They're chic and sophisticated, and they get pissed at each other, but it's fun. But the makeovers are incredible. And this is my Tom Campbell homespun thing, and I'll be done. Is my mom used to, get Christmas is in December for a reason. I grew up in New Hampshire, where it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the winter. And my mom, Christmas was a big deal because we got to all get, and then Christmas would be over, and then you just have like 4 months of winter. And my mother would pull out after Christmas the seed catalog. And she'd pick what am I going to be growing this year? And she would start from seed. And then she would put them into Dixie cups. They'd come in the mail, and she'd put them in the basement with lights. And then she would take those sprouts when it wasn't. She eventually had a little greenhouse that she would. And then in the summer, we would be eating fruit. Tomato juice would be dripping down our chin. We'd be eating corn that my mother had grown from seeds in our basement.
So you lived backyard envy.
But backyard envy is giving me that. And my mom is gone.
Really
but
nostalgic for you.
Yes, it's giving me that. But I was like, why do I love this so much? And I love them. But I love the idea of seeing New York. You think of New York as the concrete jungle, but seeing it in all its greenery. And they do a backyard in Brooklyn and Bed-Stuy, which I'd never seen spelled out until the show. It's like
Bedford
it really
Stuyvesant,
is Bed-Stuy. And they do an amazing balcony of a hotel high above the city in Times Square. It's just, I know that story may mean nothing to you. It meant a lot to me. And I just love that there's life, that there's greenery. No one's pretending they have cancer for their storyline, unlike Real Housewives of Orange County. No diss. Okay, that was a diss. But it's a wonderful show. And it may not be the show that, it's not been highly advertised outside of Bravo. So I want people to know.
There's not a lot of table flipping.
Yes. Backyard Envy. DVR it. You will watch it. Like, you could spend a weekend binging this. It's such a good show.
And you will definitely fall in love with the boys. They're really
follow
cute.
them on Instagram, and
I do follow them on Instagram. I haven't watched the show yet, but I follow them on Instagram.
Okay.
Yes. And you'll want to marry the gardener.
Yes.
Like I did.
The plant whisperer. Okay.
The plant whisperers. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Well, thank you, Tom. That's a lovely story.
That was a bit of an act, but I can't help it.
Very
but I mean
heartwarming
it.
I
mean it.
Really cold, dank, freezing, dark.
Thank you.
January day.
I haven't heard the word dank in a long time. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it all day today.
It is dank.
Thank you very much.
Donkashane.
Donkashane. Or as we say, donkey schlong. James, number 3.
Number 3.
I don't know if you guys have been following this, but there was a Gillette commercial that came out this week, and it's the Gillette commercial is the best a man can get is the name, is the sort of the slogan. The slogan, yeah. And this is that the best a man can get, the best a man can be, and it's tackling toxic masculinity. It tackles bullying. It tackles the Me Too movement.
Wow.
It's this
One
really
commercial?
It's a beautiful commercial. It's like a minute and 42 seconds, something like that, and it's really beautifully done. You'll get a lump in your throat as you watch it. It's very uplifting, but apparently red state Trump men who are watching it are revolting against it, saying that this is it's a terrible it came out, and within 3 minutes it had 440,000 downvotes on YouTube, with people saying, and I'm just going to read you a few of these. Let me see.
As he flipped through papers, with the cover being the guy ringing the bell.
Yeah. Manly men really seem to hate this new Gillette commercial targeting toxic masculinity. the Gillette has met with a surprising wave of backlash over its new razor campaign, which draws on the Me Too movement, challenges bullying, sexual harassment, and toxic male stereotypes. A quick sampling of the nearly 400,000 negative comments say,
that's a lot.
wow, attempting to sell a product by insulting the customer base. Brilliant. Thumbs down to this feminist dumpster fire. I know Gillette probably thinks press is press, but I will never buy your products again. I don't need an overpriced shaving product with an overblown opinion of its own importance to spoon-fed me this drivel. I will never buy Gillette products again. Lost a customer for life. And then someone else...
Fenton Bailey.
Yeah. And someone says, the boys of today are the girls of tomorrow, apparently. Toxic masculinity built civilization, assholes.
Wow.
Can you just stop blaming dudes for every mess up thing that's happened? Let me see. I will no longer be buying Gillette products. Nothing but leftist PC propaganda, leftist mind control.
Do you think it will work for them the way the whole Nike thing?
I was going to say.
Because like taking on the political issue and...
Well, to
it
me,
worked for
It
Nike.
could backfire.
It looks like it is backfiring, but it just...
No, I mean, it could backfire in a good way for Gillette.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they seem to be. They say for every bad comment, they've been getting good support for it as well. But it's a strange comment on our times when you have an anti-bullying ad and people are turning against it, saying like, "Boys of today will be the cucks of tomorrow." This is leftist trash expected from America. We're doomed, aren't we?
Do you remember that Coca-Cola? I'd like to teach the world.
How
Yes,
disgusting.
today that would be controversial.
I was going to say anything like that today, and you're going to have the
liberal,
SJWs.
Well, kudos to Gillette for taking a step forward and taking on that difficult topic, because it's progress in a very kind of small.
I urge everyone to watch it and come up with your own opinion
about
it, because I watched it. I got tears in my eyes.
It's on YouTube, so we can watch on YouTube. And I'm going to buy something Gillette just because.
I think everyone should.
Just
Well,
because.
when the whole Nike thing blew up, they took out an ad saying, because people were burning their products, they took out an ad, how to burn our products safely. And I think Gillette should do that. How to dispose of our razors safely if you're going to destroy them.
Number 2.
Number 2, do you have Netflix?
I do.
Yes. Have you watched the series Call My Agent?
No, sadly,
You
no.
have to watch it.
Call My Agent.
Call My
I
Agent.
have too many Netflix shows.
I know,
to watch.
but this is
Yes.
this.
I
There's
can't
too
get
much to
through
watch
them
on
all.
Netflix, but I end up watching nothing other than what James recommends, or some little bird will. The series, it's French. So it's like all subtitled, or you can, listen along in French if you can speak a little bit of Français.
Do you speak French?
Not really, no. I mean, I had to learn it at school. I pick up the odd thing. But
Croissant.
Croissant, really.
Attaché.
Pas du tout.
Dijon.
Baby. So clearly we're all very bilingual here. So it's lovely because it's set in an agency, but it's like Entourage, but it's not the douchey show
Is it
or the
subtitles?
caustic show. Yeah. Yes, it's subtitled, and it's I guess in Paris agencies are smaller, and so it's basically 5 characters, and they all have their clients. And one's this great rapacious, insatiable lesbian. Another is a very sort of strategic thinker. There's a sort of new media fast boy. There's a fabulous gay, geeky, nerdy guy who seems completely useless, but is actually very conniving.
I love geeky gays.
I think
I was
you'll
going to
love
say,
this.
is there a hot guy for James? Let's just cut to it.
It's just got that lovely Euro feel.
Yes.
It's not like over leveraged. It's not too much plot. It's not too shrieky. It's basically quite gentle, which means just not douchey. Because I find Entourage is very dark. It's very caustic. And this is really, it's just French, and it's funny, and it's light. And it's sort of, oh my God, it's like, I just find all American scripted drama is so dark and cold. And this is like a little sunshine in January.
Breath
it's a little
of fresh air.
Yeah,
Well, I do think Rapacious Lesbians is the name of a good TV show that we need to pitch around here.
The rapacious lesbian mix of some sort.
And I had to do a Netflix, James, because you haven't done any Netflixy things.
No,
this
I
week.
haven't. No.
Have you seen this show, Please Like Me?
No.
That's on Netflix. Oh
And
my
who is
God.
that?
It's
What
an
is it?
Australian, is it Australian TV show about this kid who's coming out. It is the wackiest, wiggy, funniest thing. And the mom is like this crazy, like she's like she's in and out of the mental hospital, and the father is married to a young Asian woman. He left her for a young Asian woman, and they have a little baby boy, and it's just so brilliant.
I have heard good things about it. Yeah.
Gotta watch it.
You know, the Australians have a lot of really good shows. What's the one with Jamie? What's that?
Oh, Jamie. What is it?
Jamie.
It was about a high school. It was called.
I mean, I guess that's the great thing about Netflix is you get exposed to non-American.
Yeah,
I did just see there's something starting January or February 1st called Sempre Bruja Sempre or something like that. Forever a Witch. It's a Brazilian show. It's about a witch who's being burned at the stake, and then she time travels to 2019, and she's like trying to deal with apps and everything. It looks really funny. Anyway, we're being told to shut up. What's going on?
Blake has no microphone, so he's doing it all with hands. And we're having trouble understanding what you're trying to get across to us.
Should we take a quick break then?
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. And when we come back, we'll reveal the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Thank you, Brian, for joining us.
So happy to be
Good luck
here.
with the book tour.
Thank you.
You sold out the first printing, too.
Yes, we did. We sold out
fantastic.
the first printing.
And is it going to be a movie?
Oh, I haven't even thought of that.
Who would play you in the movie?
Well, I don't know, but I could just imagine the controversy over a cisgender actor playing a transgender woman that becomes a cisgender gay.
You would have to essentially have to have 3 different actors.
Yeah.
May I suggest animation?
Anime. Tish anime.
So there's not one particular
actor that
person
pops
you have in
out.
mind, yeah.
Well, I was looking at Timothy Chalamet, and he's awfully androgynous.
And he has the big eyes.
If we could find someone like him with a little more meat on his bones.
Ezra Miller.
A little more
Ezra Miller
would be perfect.
But I think you have to consult with James because
I will
casting right now is a very touchy subject.
Yes,
just for people tuning in, we're with Brian Belovitch in his book Transfigured: My Journey from Boy to Girl to Woman to Man. We've been talking about it all hour, but you need to buy it and read it because we barely scratched the surface of your fascinating
I will be
life.
talking to Brian afterwards, but I'm going to be doing another interview. So
it'll be on the YouTube.
It'll be on the YouTube, so look out for that.
Number 1.
So number 1 this week is, speaking of casting, there is a new movie coming along. It's been in development 10 years. Cleopatra. Who is going to play Cleopatra?
Wow.
And James, has some sort of controversy, right, this week?
There has, because for a long time now, Angelina Jolie has been attached to the project, and it's been sort of a passion project of hers that she's wanted to do. Of course, in the past, it's been done by Vivian Leigh, Claudette Colbert, and most famously, Elizabeth Taylor. And for each of them, it was sort of a plateau in their career, and it sort of was... A peak. It was not a plateau. Yes, it was one of the high points of their career.
It's considered the role for an actress.
Yes, and of course, it bankrupt MGM.
Well, it was the
20th Century
most
Fox.
expensive movie ever made in 62 or 63.
But forever, it was Angelina Jolie, but now
it's because Lady Gaga is on the rise, and she's getting all this press that she has decided that she wants the role, and so
it's a war between Angelina Jolie and Lady Gaga. Headline it, people. Let's stir it up. Let's stir it up.
Yeah,
People magazine cover.
Exactly.
Gaga versus Jolie.
Which team are you on, Brian?
I love Angelina. I think she would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, she is the closest
would
to
be
Elizabeth
amazing.
and Vivian.
Yeah.
She is.
I'm sorry, I'm Team Gaga. For goodness sakes. I mean, the outsizeness, the spectacle. That's Cleopatra, right?
I don't care if the movie ever gets made. I love this is a tabloid sensation because Angelina Jolie is our modern Elizabeth Taylor, having stole Brad Pitt from Jennifer Aniston, who was Debbie Reynolds, and on and on and on. And Lady Gaga, now with the success of A Star Is Born, is our current Barbara Streisand. And Barbara became very famous, sort of took that Cleopatra look that Elizabeth made famous in the 60s, that eyeliner thing kind of came from Cleopatra. And then Barbara took it and she sort of owned it. So it's the perfect kind of, I don't know, it's
that should be the movie. Angelina versus Gaga. And it's sort of,
like the behind the scenes.
It could be a feud for Ryan
Yes.
Murphy.
There you go. We should make the
fixed
feud
it.
before the movie.
The real feud.
But I do want to say that another part of the controvery, how do you say it? How do you say it?
Controversy, darling.
The controversy, darling, is that Cleopatra herself, people were saying that she was, African, and so she would not have been a pretty Caucasian girl. But the fact of the matter is that if you really do your research, that she was Greek Macedonian.
But the Cleopatra family had been living in Egypt for 300 years.
But her father was a general, the Ptolemy general from Greece.
Right.
So yes, the family had been Greek, and then for 500 years it had assimilated into the African. So that was her mother's side, but the father's side was Greek.
I'll give you the other fly in the ointment.
Yeah.
She wasn't that beautiful.
No, she definitely wasn't. She did look more like Gaga.
How do we know?
Because they're coins and
Plutarch says
Oh, you're going to believe Plutarch.
her actual beauty was not so remarkable that none could be compared with her, or that no one could see her without being struck by it. But the contact of her presence was irresistible. So she was kind of like a sort of female Bill Clinton.
She was more like a Barbara Streisand, is what I'm imagining.
I'm not touching
Well,
that.
she can't play the role now.
No, Barbara, no.
Barbara.
What about
No.
Rihanna?
Rihanna?
I love that.
J-Lo?
No.
Sorry, J-Lo.
No.
And you mentioned this, but I just want to footnote that the movie with Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra killed Marilyn Monroe.
How do we know? What is this? What's going on?
Because they were so infamously over budget on Cleopatra. They filmed it for years and years, and Richard Burton was there, and they had their affair, and it was a scandal. And so 20th Century Fox was bleeding money. And Miss Marilyn Monroe came back to do Something's Gotta Give with Dean Martin. And because she was late, she's always late. She never knew her. She was always that problematic, but they put up with her. But now they were so desperate for money, they fired Marilyn Monroe, and some would say she was so despondent that led to her overdose. So
Allegedly.
I'm making everything up.
Well, no, I mean,
this
we
isn't
all
like
know.
Plutarch told us this. This is just me watching TV
The mafia
and
killed her.
correcting.
We know that. I mean, come on.
How about
It was the Kennedys,
the top 10
wasn't
things
it?
that make us go wild about Marilyn for another show?
But
Shall we?
hold
Would
on.
you come back?
Well, hold on. Didn't Doris Day then do the movie with James Garner?
It was retitled as
Lover Come Back.
Lover Come Back? No.
Move Over Darling.
Move Over Darling, yes.
And James Garner got the role, and Sid Charisse's role was played by Polly Bergen. And yeah, I know a lot about Doris Day. Thanks very much.
Well, that's all we have time for today.
Dear.
Thanks for tuning in. Tickets for RuPaul's DragCon, LA 2019, May 24th, 25th, 26th. Available now, RuPaul'sDragCon.com. Thanks for tuning in to the Wow Report on Radio Andy SiriusXM. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Let's do it again.
Oh, my God.
Until
Next time.
that's right. Same place, same time next week,
Yeah,
right? Until
yeah.
then, go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow.